Section 4 of Greatheart by Ethel M. Dell. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 4. The Magician. "Well, Dina, my dear, are you ready?" Rose Devine, very slim and graceful, with her beautiful hair mounted high above her white forehead, and falling in a shower of golden ringlets behind, after the style of 100 years ago, stood on the threshold of Dina's room, awaiting permission to enter. Her dress was of palest green satin brocade, a genuine court dress of a century old. Her arms and neck gleamed with a snowy whiteness. She looked as if she had just stepped out of an ancient picture. There came an impatient cry from within the room. "Oh, come in, come in. I'm not nearly ready. Never shall be, I think. Where is Yvonne? Couldn't she spare me a single moment?" The beautiful lady entered with a smile. She could afford to smile, being complete to the last detail, and quite sure of taking the ballroom by storm. She found Dina scurrying barefooted about the room, with her hair in a loose bunch on her neck, her attire of the scantiest description, her expression one of wild desperation. "I've lost my stockings. Where can they be? I know I had them this morning. Can Yvonne have taken them by mistake? She put everything ready for me. Or said she had." The bed was littered with articles of clothing, all flung together in hopeless confusion. Rose came forward. "Surely Yvonne didn't leave your things like this," she said. "No, I've been hunting through everything for the stockings. Where can they be? I shall have to go without them, that's all." "My dear child, they can't be far away. You had better get on with your hair while I look for them. I am afraid you will not be able to count on any help from Yvonne tonight. She has only just finished dressing me, and has gone now to help Mother. You know what that means." "Oh, goodness, yes," said Dina. "I wish I'd never gone in for this stupid fancy dress at all. I shall never be done." Rose smiled in her indulgent way. She was always kind to Dina. "Well, I can help you for a few minutes. I can't think how you come to be so late. I thought you came in long ago." "Yes, but Billy wanted some buttons sewn on, and that hindered me." Dina was dragging at her hair with impatient fingers. "What a swell you look, Rose. I'm sure no one will dare to ask you for any but square dances." "Do you think so, dear?" said Rose, looking at herself complacently in the glass over Dina's head. Dina made a sudden and hideous grimace. "Oh, drat my hair! I can't do anything with it. I believe I shall cut it all off, put on just a pinafore, and go as a piccaninny." "That sounds a little vulgar," observed Rose. "There are your stockings under the bed. You must have dropped them under. I should think the more simply you do your hair the better, if you are going to wear a coloured kerchief over it. You have natural ringlets in front, and that is the only part that will show." "And they will hang down over my eyes," retorted Dina, "unless I fasten them back with a comb, which I haven't got." "Oh, don't stay, Rose. I know you are wanting to go, and you can't help me. I shall manage somehow." "Are you quite sure?" said Rose, turning again to survey herself. "Quite, quite. I shall get on best alone. I'm in a bad temper too, and I want to use language, horrid language," said Dina, tugging viciously at her dark hair. Rose lowered her stately gaze and watched her for a moment. Then, as Dina's green eyes suddenly flashed resentful inquiry upon her, she lightly touched the girl's flushed cheek and turned away. "Poor little Dina," she said. The door closed upon her graceful figure in its old-world sweeping robe, and Dina whizzed round from the glass like a naughty fairy in a rage. "Rose Devine, I hate you!" she said aloud, and stamped her unshod foot upon the floor. A period of uninterrupted misfortune followed this outburst. Everything went wrong. The costume, which the French maid had so deftly fitted upon her that morning, refused to be adjusted properly. The fastenings baffled her, and finally a hook at the back took firm hold of the lawn of her sleeve and maliciously refused to be disentangled therefrom. Dina struggled for freedom for some minutes till the lawn began to tear, and then at last she became desperate. "Billy must do it," she said, and almost in tears she threw open the door and ran down the passage. Billy's room was round the corner, and this end of the corridor was dim. As she turned it, she almost collided with a figure coming in the opposite direction. A boyish-looking figure in evening dress, which she instantly took for Billy. "Oh, there you are!" she exclaimed. "Do come along and help me like a saint. I'm in such a fix." There was an instant's pause before she discovered her mistake, and then, in the same moment, a man's voice answered her. "Of course I will help you with pleasure. What is wrong?" Dina stared back, as if she would flee in dismay, but perhaps it was the kindness of his response, or possibly only the extremity of her need. Something held her there. She stood her ground, as if it were in spite of herself. "Oh, it is you. I do beg your pardon. I thought it was Billy. I've got my sleeve caught up at the back, and I want him to undo it." "I'll undo it, if you will allow me," said Scott. "Oh, would you? How awfully kind. My arm is nearly broken with trying to get free. You can't see here, though," said Dina. "There's a light by my door." "Let us go to it, then," said Scott. "I know what it is to have things go wrong at a critical time." He accompanied her back again with the utmost simplicity, stopped by the light, and proceeded with considerable deftness to remedy the mischief. "Oh, thank you," said Dina, with heartfelt gratitude, as he freed her at last. "Billy would have torn the stuff in all directions. I'm dressing against time, you see, and I've no one to help me." "Do you want any more help?" asked Scott, looking at her with a quizzical light in his eyes. She laughed, albeit she was still not far from tears. "Yes, I want someone to pin a handkerchief on my head in the proper Italian fashion. I don't look much like a contadina yet, do I?" He surveyed her more critically. "It's not a bad get-up. You look very nice, anyhow. If you like to bring me the handkerchief, I will see what I can do. I know a little about it from the point of view of an amateur artist. You want some earrings. Have you got any?" Dina shook her head. "Of course not." "I believe my sister has," said Scott. "I'll go and see." "Oh, no, no, what will she think?" cried Dina in distress. He uttered his quiet laugh. "I will present you to her by and by, if I may. I am sure she will be interested and pleased. You finish off as quickly as you can. I shall be back directly." He limped away again, down the passage, moving more quickly than was his wont, and Dina hastened back into her room, wondering if this informality would be regarded by her chaperone as a great breach of etiquette. "Rose thinks I'm vulgar," she murmured to herself. "I wonder if I really am. But really, he is such a dear little man, how could I possibly help it?" The dear little man's return put an end to her speculations. He came back in an incredibly short time, armed with a leather jewel case which he deposited on the threshold. Dina came light-footed to join him, all her grievances forgotten. Her hair, notwithstanding its waywardness, clustered very prettily about her face. There was a bewitching dimple near one corner of her mouth. "You can come in if you like," she said. "I'm quite dressed, all except the handkerchief." "Thank you, but I won't come in," he answered. "We mustn't shock anybody. If you could bring a chair out, I could manage quite well." She fetched the chair. "If anyone comes down the passage, they'll wonder what on earth we are doing," she remarked. "They will take us for old friends," said Scott in a matter-of-fact tone, as he opened the jewel case. She laughed delightedly. There was a peculiarly happy quality about her laugh. Most people smiled quite involuntarily when they heard it, though Billy compared it to the neigh of a cheery colt. "Now," said Scott, looking at her quizzically, "are you going to sit in the chair, or am I going to stand on it?" "Oh, I'll sit," she said. Here's the handkerchief. You will fasten it so that it doesn't flop, won't you? May I hold that case? I won't touch anything." He put it, open, into her lap. "There is a chain of coral there. Perhaps you can find it. I think it would look well with your costume." Dina pored over the jewels with sparkling eyes. "But are you sure, quite sure, your sister doesn't mind?" "Quite sure," said Scott, beginning to drape the handkerchief adroitly over her bent head. "How very sweet of her! Of you both," said Dina. "I feel like Cinderella being dressed for the ball." "Oh, what lovely pearls! I never saw anything so exquisite." She had opened an inner case, and was literally revelling in its contents. They were her husband's wedding present to her, said Scott, in his rather monotonous voice. "How lovely it must be to be married," said Dina with a little sigh. "Do you think so?" said Scott. She turned in her chair to regard him. "Don't you?" "I can't quite imagine it," he said. "Oh, can't I?" said Dina. "To have someone in love with you, wanting no one but you, thinking that there's no one else in the world like you. Have you never dreamt that such a thing has happened? I have, and then waked up to find everything very flat and uninteresting." Scott was intent upon fastening an old gold brooch in the red kerchief above her forehead. He did not meet the questioning of her bright eyes. "No," he said. "I don't think I ever cajoled myself, either waking or sleeping, into imagining that anybody would ever fall in love with me to that extent." Dina laughed, her upturned face abrim with merriment. "If any woman ever wants to marry you, she'll have to do her own proposing, won't she?" she said. "I think she will," said Scott. "I wish Rose Devine would fall in love with you then," declared Dina. "Men are always proposing to her. She leads them on until they make perfect idiots of themselves. I think it's simply horrid of her to do it, but she says she just can't help being beautiful. Oh, how I wish—" Dina broke off. "What do you wish?" said Scott. She turned her face away to hide a blush. "You must think me very silly and childish." "So I am. But I'm not generally so. I think it's in the air here. I was going to say how I wished I could outshine her for just one night. Isn't that piggy of me? But I am so tired of being always in the shade. She called me poor little Dina, only tonight. How would you like to be called that?" "Most people call me Stumpy," observed Scott, with his whimsical little smile. "How rude of them! How horrid of them!" said Dina. "And do you actually put up with it?" He bent with her over the jewel case and picked out the coral chain. "I don't care the toss of a halfpenny," he said. She gave him a quick searching glance. "Not really? Not in your secret heart?" "Not in the deepest depths of my unfathomable soul," he declared. "Then you're a great man," said Dina with conviction. Scott's laugh was one of genuine amusement. "Oh, does that follow? I've never seen myself in that light before." But Dina was absolutely serious and remained so. There was even a touch of reverence in her look. "You evidently don't know yourself in the least," she said. "Anyhow, you've made me feel a downright toad." "I don't know why," said Scott. "You don't look like one, if that's any comfort." He stooped to fasten the necklace. "Now for the earrings, and you are complete." "It is good of you," she said gratefully. "I am longing to go and look at myself, but can you fasten them first? I'm sure I can't." He complied with his almost feminine dexterity, and in a few moments a sparkling and glorified Dina rose and skipped into her room to see the general effect of her transformation. Scott lingered to close the jewel case. Frankly, he had enjoyed himself during the last 10 minutes. Moreover, he was sure she would be pleased with the result of his labours, but he was hardly prepared for the cry of delight that reached him as he turned to depart. He paused as he heard it, and in a moment Dina flashed out again, like a radiant butterfly, and gave him both her hands. "You magician!" she cried. "How did you do it? How can I thank you? I have never been so nearly pretty in my life." He bowed in a courtly fashion over the little brown hands. "Then you have never seen yourself with the eyes of others," he said. "I congratulate you on doing so tonight." She laughed her merry laugh. "Thank you 100 times. I've only one thing left to wish for." "What is that?" he said. She told him with a touch of shyness that Apollo will dance with me. Scott laughed and let her go. "Oh, is that all? Then I will certainly see that he does." "Oh, but don't tell him," pleaded Dina. "I never repeat confidences," declared Scott. "Goodbye, Signorina." And with another bow, he left her. End of section 4. Read by Helena Dunstan. Oxford, February 2022.